Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining ACC's first Career Corner. I'm PJ Trudeau with ACC, Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer. I work a lot with ACC members on careers for in-house counsel, providing resources at our annual meeting, doing career coaching. Today, we'd like to talk about why what do you want to be when you grow up is really a dumb question. We're working and have many times previously. Today, we've got Jason Levin joining us. He's the author of the very successful Relationships to Infinity. He's a keynote speaker and trainer. He does the Parents at Work podcast with his wife, Lori, and he's an ACC career coach. He's worked with us for many years, knows a lot of our members, and has done quite a lot in the legal community. So we're very excited to have Jason joining us today. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, PJ. Really great to be here.
So it is a really common question. What do you want to be when you grow up? However, is it really the right question to be asking when you're trying to determine what's next for me in my legal career? Let's have a conversation about managing your in-house career and what we really should be asking ourselves when we are trying to determine what those next steps are.
PJ, I mean, you're hitting on something that's just, near and dear to my heart because we are so ingrained in us, as a child, everybody around us. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you go to high school. What do you want to be when you grow up? College, law school. And to your point, it's better to ask yourself, one, that what you are is much more than your profession. So we are multiple types of people depending on who the audience is. We are who we are to our friends and family. We are who we are to the people we work with. But then there's our religious communities, our communities where we're doing nonprofit work. So there's different ways that we can show up. When we think about an in-house career, when you grow up is such a long timeline, right? And who knows when, if ever, we grow up. And so I think the second piece in all of this is when you think about timeframes, it's really good to take it into a 12 to 18 month window where you ask yourself in 12 to 18 months, what could be, and then you move from this amorphous long-term view of things where, we don't need a crystal ball to, tell, what's happening. Imagine if you came up with this, what do I want to be when I grow up, or some long-term plan in January of 2020 before, the pandemic hit. I mean, how silly would that have been? So then it's like, what's the real question? I think the real question is, one, let's look at the things that bring you energy. What are the things that you're doing in your day that bring you energy? For some attorneys, it's managing people. For some attorneys, it's managing projects. For other attorneys, it's doing deep dive research on particular types of things. So the more that you can look at, and I say this to all the attorneys that I've worked with, look at your resume in a different way. Actually isolate the bullet points that not only you accomplish something, but you actually find joy in, you were happy doing. So begin with your resume and say to yourself, I was happiest when, and then look through your resume and look through the things that you actually derive your most professional satisfaction. And that's where you start. So that's something.
How often do you find when you've talked with those that are really trying to decide what that next step is, that people are clear on how to go about doing that they really know exactly what it is that they want to be doing, and how do you guide them in the right direction to really help identify what those things are?
Right. For me, it's kind of half-half. Half are like, I want to go to the next step, or I want to make a transition, or I want to make some type of change. And in that piece, it's really a function of having good strategies and tactics and how you think about your network and how you think about your relationships and the asks that you make. The other half is, I really don't know what I'm looking for. And so then it's also a function of how do you frame the question? And so really the important piece in, if you don't know what you want to do next, one of the really interesting things when you look at the psychological research is actually envy. If you are envious of watching someone do work, wait a minute, they get to do that, and that's their job. That's a really big indicator for your own values on what's something that's important to you. So as you begin to think about things that you're not sure about, you can frame it really in three different types of categories. Are you interested in certain types of industries? Do you like working for publicly traded companies? Do you like to work for private sector organizations? Or is there more of a social mission in you? Do you want to work for a nonprofit that has that mission? Or do you feel that somewhere in the public sector, maybe it's your city government or county government or your state government or even federal government? So as you begin to look at it from a 30,000 foot perspective, one of the other things you could be asking yourself is, what are the problems that are worth solving? And what are the types of organizations that do that work? And then from there, you can begin to piece out, well, let me identify some of the people that are doing that and begin to have those conversations.
Do you feel that things have moved in a different direction now that we have so many more ways to access people easier, whether it be LinkedIn, that there are so many additional ways from a networking perspective to really be able to reach out and connect? How are you seeing that career planning, career management have changed?
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting on a really, really big question. I think since February, March of 2020, the big thing that has changed is just, one, the ways that you can connect with people, but then at the same time, you don't know where anybody is. Are they in the office today? Are they in the same city that I'm in? Are they in the same time zone that I'm in? And so sometimes people are often paralyzed by even, what do I do and how do I even think about outreaching? But at the same time, look at us, PJ. We're having a conversation, Zoom fireside chat, and it's allowing us that connectivity that otherwise would have taken longer for us to actually get together in person. So I think the biggest change for a lot of people is intent, and getting that intention in on a weekly basis, where you're looking at all the different things that you need to do in your week. But really, one of the things you can be intentional about is connection, is adding connection in as a time block, because I think the thing that's changed is people needs to be much more forward thinking on their calendars, because we don't know where everybody is. And so we need to think about, all right, who are the folks that I need to get in front of? Where are they going to be? Oh, and by the way, we're all social people. So friends, family members, past colleagues, all those kinds of things. So it's really the intention that's what I've seen has changed in all of this.
Have you seen a change in people used to do a lot of networking, and especially when they were looking for a new opportunity or trying to determine who best to work with to do that? How has the dynamic changed, whether it be doing it online versus now people going back to do it in person? What have you seen is the best mix of that in going forward, now at this point in the post-COVID era?
So I think what's also changed, if you are going to meet someone in person, and if it's nice weather out, you're seeing a lot more people. Hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go to a park. Let's go sit on a bench. Let's find a way to do some type of activity while we talk. I think that now, depending on what industry you're in, where folks are going back to the office, you're starting to see more of the in-person coffee and those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, you have to get the meeting. And if you don't get the meeting, then none of that happens. But whatever that meeting is, in person or virtual, the intent needs to come from the person and make that outreach. So, but it's interesting, because I think places like ACC and the chapters do a great job of convening people that otherwise wouldn't normally meet. So not only your annual meeting, but the chapter level. And so one of the intentions that each of us can make being involved in ACC is to say, you know what? If the annual meeting is going to come up, or if there's a webinar that's going to happen, or if my chapter is doing some type of in-person, to show up, It's really about showing up. It's showing up here, it's showing up here, and it's showing up with your feet if you need to go in person. And the more that people can show up with consistency, I think that's also the big change, because there are so many different types of events we could attend. But investing in places like ACC is a good use of time.
Great. Tell me, how can in-house attorneys set intentions for their own success?
Again, getting back to relationships, I think investing in relationships is an incredible use of time. So when I think of, a career for someone in-house, who are the people that have done good things for you in your career? And list them out. And you might even use words like mentors, or if they're in a place where they can have you move up in your career in your organization, that would be a sponsor. But have front of mind the types of people that have helped you along the way. When's the last time you were in touch with them? When was the last time you thanked them for something that they shared with you that you actually get a chance to do in your own daily work? So making that intersection, I think, is really important, because often, some folks have a gratitude practice. Generally, I'm grateful for life and I'm grateful for waking up in the morning. What if you actually took a gratitude practice with your network? And therein lies the authenticity of the opportunity, where you can be on a daily, weekly basis. I'm thankful for you. You helped me with this. I think the second thing, and it gets back to getting the meeting, is that if you feel that someone more senior than you is doing something really interesting or something that you admire, tell them. Let them know that you appreciate them for that. And therein lies the opportunity to meet people either in your own organization, either in-house within your legal department, or within the business. Because I think as in-house attorneys, there are so many opportunities to learn about finance and HR and technology and supply chain through folks in the business. And how do you begin those conversations? I'm really interested in what you do. I'd like to learn more. And being able to be a little bit vulnerable and saying that you'd like to learn more creates that opportunity to learn some things and build relationships. So I think for in-house folks, there are so many different ways that you can move your career forward just by thinking through your own relationship set.
And I think a challenge a lot of people have is they don't necessarily think as much about building and developing those relationships until they need them.
Exactly.
So how do you go about, like you said, being more intentional about whether it's thanking someone or reaching out to them, continuing to grow and develop that network so that when you are at a point where you do need some assistance, or maybe you want to help someone else and you've got someone that can do that, how do you go about building and developing that network? And timing wise, like how does that work from that standpoint?
It's funny, the number of executives that have come to me and said, I helped that person out, and then I never heard from them ever again. Or, you call someone and you're like, oh, you're just calling me because you need something, right? And so I think one, the academic research shows that the folks that are in our relationship set that we know casually, or even if we've lost touch with, can actually be very helpful to us in our career. So there are plenty of times where people can just act on those things with a casual outreach, or even a nice comment on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be the rewriting of the Magna Carta. And, and as an attorney by marriage, I know that words matter, right? But if you're doing something gratitude-based, or if you're sharing a specific memory, you're hitting someone here, and you're hitting them here. And it's really nice for people to receive those notes, because I think back to what we've seen in the last few years, we feel alone. We genuinely, the levels of loneliness across not only just the US, but globally, people don't feel like they're being remembered. And so how do you do that? You look at your week, and it can take 6 minutes to share a text, send a direct message, send an email saying, I was thinking of you. This is not a really big block of time, but if you aggregate one a day or one a week, you're sending out into the universe the positive vibes that are what people want to receive. Even after my book came out, there was a research study underlying in the New York Times where it said, text your friends, they want to hear from you. And the research study came out of the University of Pittsburgh where they had 13,000 people run through a set of outreaches. And you know what happened? We underestimate how much of an impact we can make on others. So of the 13,000 people and the different types of outreaches, you know where the highest impact was? The highest impact was in the people that we had lost touch with. And the fact that we said, I remembered you, so we undervalue our own memories of others. And that's what holds us back from actually sharing them. So it's amazing how much we overthink this. And if we do that with consistency, that's keeping in touch.
Is LinkedIn the best tool to do that? Is it, I mean, if I'm trying to start my network or I'm trying to find the best way to even just begin on the journey of growing my network, what's the best way to start doing that?
So absolutely. And I often joke, I've been on LinkedIn for 19 years now. My member number is 141,272. I joined LinkedIn in January of 2004. And so, yes, connect with your high school classmates and connect with your college classmates and connect with your law school classmates. Connect, right? And the best thing that you can do is when you meet someone new, for example, I was just at an event last night. I met 3 people. I went the extra step of going beyond connecting with them by a little direct message. It was nice to meet you at this event, and something we talked about. Because the great thing about not only connecting on LinkedIn, but if you send a quick note, it reminds you how you met that person. And a lot of times we get really bent out of shape. Like, how do I know this person? I forgot. We don't know. And so what I would say is, yes, LinkedIn is an incredible tool to not only connect, but then show some appreciation. If someone's gotten a promotion, a new job, something's wonderful has happened in their company, send them a direct note and just say, wow, I saw that. Congratulations. That's really great. So here's another thing about the social science. As human beings, we don't care how we're thanked. It could be LinkedIn, it could be email, it could be a postcard or a letter or whatever that is. We're equally happy to get appreciation in all of the communication channels.
And people love to, like you said, to be remembered and ultimately to feel valued. I think we all want to feel valued for the work that we do. And if we can do something that helps someone else or is able to help make a difference, and like you said, they take that 2 minutes to tell us how much they appreciated that, I think that certainly speaks volumes. Anything else that you would want to let the members know about really trying to develop what their next steps are and how they best go about doing that we may not have covered already today?
So I think one thing is when you start to think about your day, what do you want more of in your day? What do you want less of in your day? And when you think about that type of activity has a name. Do you want to be more of an individual contributor? Do you want to be more of a leader? And you know what? Both are okay and right. I think it's really challenging is when you're in a high-performing profession, like being an in-house counsel, there's a lot of projection, must get promoted, must go to corner office, must. What you need to think about for yourself is what is important for you at every age and stage of your own career. And so look in the mirror, have an honest conversation with yourself. And you know what? That could change in 6 months from now or 18 months from now. But guess what? Talking to yourself in this way is a good use of time. I'm a big fan of talking to myself. And the more you had that honest conversation, then you can start to be more intentional about the work that you're looking for and the environment to do it in.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We Really do appreciate all of the great advice. Absolutely something that I think our members can take and immediately walk away with to start doing going forward, and especially asking the questions of themselves to really think about what it is they need to be doing next. So thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, PGA. Thank you, PJ. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.